All right, Ian?
Good to go, yep.
Okay.
Downstairs.
Now I can put this on, I can take off my video and that's for now until I get ready, right? But we're still audio right now, or I could actually mute this too, right?
Work Excel, so he should be good today if he has to show anything.
Okay, so we're gonna let him in.
He'll call me every once in a while. You got around to it? Yeah, I'll be right there, and I have to show him the computer.
Hi, Chief.
Hi, Chief. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Outstanding.
That's good. Hi, Mayor.
Hello, how's everybody?
Good. We got Richardson squared on.
You got it.
You two make meeting minutes a little difficult.
I can imagine.
When you're both there and you're both talking, I have to go back through because I forgot and add first names and, oh yeah.
I'll try not to confuse you. As soon as I'm done, I'll get off. How's that?
Chief T. Richardson, you're at the office, huh?
Yes, sir. There's too much going on at home to do something like this.
Okay.
The kids just come down and throw stuff all over the place, and it would not be good.
Turned out to be a nice day out there.
Can't beat it.
I know it.
Well, we're waiting for people to join us. So. This is like being in an elevator. Everybody's quiet looking up.
Yep, you're right.
First, you always go to the numbers on for the floors.
I was just trying to make sure that my PDF was where I could get to it. Make sure I don't mess it up.
We got a picture of Fred, but no Fred yet.
I carry one in my wallet anyways.
Yeah. We are live on YouTube. I got asked today if I just got back from vacation. They haven't seen my truck around lately, so.
It's funny because Jack would ask if you were in when he stopped in the office. I used to be able to peek out the window and see your truck, and now that your truck's not there, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll have to check.
Yeah, he told me that. One day he said, I didn't see your truck around, so I didn't stop. So. Hello, Linda. How are you?
Hi, guys.
Hey,
I
Linda.
never know quite if it's going to work. Hi, Ron. Hi, Tim.
Hi.
How's everybody?
Good.
Can't complain.
Hey, it's not snowing or raining, so I'm happy.
Just knocked on wood, so that's good.
I know. So where is everybody?
They'll be here.
Fred?
Yes, Fred?
Hello, all you nice people.
Hi, Fred.
So Bill, did you see the article about the New York State coming down and doing the big clinics?
Yes, I've been on the phone with Jack Searles and Lori Cornell today. So, yeah, she's supposed to let me know when that site goes live so people can register, and she hasn't done that yet, so.
You know, I've had a lot of my neighbors go to the New York State site over the last couple weeks, and a ton of them have been going to Delavan. So hopefully that site will be up soon, because I was talking to Nikki, who schedules us because we do the shots. I'm doing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Those are the New York State days. And then we do Wednesday and Thursday for the county. So it's just a matter of where they put us.
Yeah,
So I think they received 500 doses. So that's good.
mhm. Well, supposedly, they're supposed to be getting 3,500 doses of the Johnson and Johnson for this thing they're doing Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I thought it said Monday and Tuesday at JCC.
Yeah, Monday. Tuesday, they're not there, but those 4 days. That would be great, because that would just be one shot instead of having everybody come back.
Yeah. Well,
We finished up.
my concern is traffic. I mean, if they're gonna have all these people coming here and it's in, in the front building there, that may be a traffic issue. So, Ron, if you'd have, Mike, Marsfelder get with me tomorrow on this.
Okay.
Yeah, because when we do the other clinics, we all park out back. And I don't think the students are all back yet. So there's plenty of parking out back. But even with the other clinics we've done, people have parked out front and walked back to Cutco.
But they're not doing it in Cutco.
No, they're doing it in the administration building.
Yeah.
It is a bigger room, but it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
Yes,
But it's great that people are getting their shots. I'm happy
it
about it.
is. Yes, it is.
I have to tell you a funny one, guys. I had this big guy, and he was a first responder, but he didn't have his outfit on, so I didn't know where he was from. So I gave him his shot, and I told him the spiel. And I said, now you have to stay over here for 15 minutes before you leave. And I said, if you need water or anything, let me know. So I go back to my table, and I gave a couple more shots, and I glanced over, and he's getting up to leave, and it's only been 5 minutes. So I go over to him, and I said, where are you going? He goes, I'm fine. I'm going to leave. And I said, and I got real close to him, and I said, if you do a face plant out there, you're going to look pretty bad with us girls picking you up. And he sat back down. So there's always a way to get to you guys. But he was so funny. He thought, I'm a tough guy. I can leave. Sit down. I felt like the mom. But no, I think it's great that we're doing it.
Yes. Yeah. Vernon, how are you?
How you doing, Mayor? How are you doing, everyone?
Good.
John?
How you doing, Vern?
Good.
John?
David?
Hi, Vernon. Hi, John. Dave.
Hi, everybody.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Paul said he was going to be a couple minutes late.
Okay. Yeah, we have Jason to come yet too.
Paul's here.
Paul,
Howdy ho.
Hi, Paul.
Well,
And the other one tonight is Bob Ring, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Hey, Bill, depending, I mean, for everyone's sake, depending on, what time we get to Bob, or if it starts pushing too late or whatever, we can always do water and sewer a different night if you wanted, or.
Yeah, I think that would be the best thing to do is water and sewer on another night. Do you have some time to call me tomorrow,
Yeah.
John, so we can go over some scheduling?
Yep.
Okay. I thought if it's okay with you and Linda, that we would do water and sewer on another night and then the capital projects.
That would be good, Bill. It's been a long week at work already, so that would be fine.
Not to bring up bad news, I emailed everyone the schedules that I promised to send regarding the retirement estimate, and I hope you got it all and saw that it's a real number.
Bill, I mean, just and I understand NICOM's doing their thing. Would it make any sense for the council to pass a resolution for reconsideration? I mean, I don't know. Is there anything that can be done? The timing of that just seems, it couldn't have been any worse. I mean, it was a literal crash, and where the markets are today, I don't know if there's any guidance from NICOM, or they're just going to hold steady, and it is what it is.
I think the Napoli's going to hold steady. He's the sole, what do they call it?
Custodian?
Yes, thank you. Sole custodian of that fund. So, I mean, we could pass a resolution to show our concern with it and send it on, will it do any good?
Unfortunately,
Yeah, we won't, would it do any good? You don't know if you don't try, I guess. So,
and every other municipality is in the same position. So
Oh,
that's
it'd
the
be-
hard place.
Well, it'd be great if we started a chain reaction to get every municipality passing a resolution telling them, I mean, that's a once in a decade crash. I mean, we haven't seen something like that since 2007. So I don't know. That's just a real kick in the pants.
there is.
Given COVID and everything else, I mean, that we're trying to deal with, that's $300,000 that, could be put into, I don't know, street improvements or sidewalks or something. But,
Oh.
okay.
Bill, do you see if Jason's coming on yet?
I don't see him. I would say let's, we might as well get going. I'm sure he'll join us when he gets on, so.
Okay,
I'll send him a message in the meantime, Linda.
okay. What I'll do is open the Committee of Finance for Wednesday, March 3rd. All members are present except for Alderman Panis, which hopefully he'll be joining us shortly. Unfinished business, there's none. New referrals is discussion on the budget 21-22. Okay, Tim or Ron, who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay, thank you.
So my budget's pretty easy this year. The main increase is going to be for the police cars that we're leasing that have gone through the fleet committee. If we didn't have the police cars in there, our budget would actually be down about $6,126 this year from where it was last year.
Chief and Bill, would you mind if I shared the budget so we all are?
Oh, I'm sorry, I can do that.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Here you go.
Thank you.
How's that?
Good, thank you.
Yep. So the main increase in my line, the 300 line, is the vehicles. We're gonna lease 4 vehicles this year.
How many vehicles do you have in the fleet, Chief?
We have 7 marked cars.
Okay.
I have an unmarked car. Investigations has 2 unmarked cars.
And do we have all 4 of those vehicles now? I know there were some issues with getting them, and they had to get all souped up and stuff like that.
No, we don't. So I just got notified from Enterprise that the vehicles were being built and they would probably be coming in sometime in April.
Chief, now the 2 that we had leased before, are those the 2 in April or the second 2 that we did?
Those are the first 2 that we leased.
Okay, now what about the second that we
They
just
probably won't be-
discussed?
They probably won't be coming in until after June.
Okay,
So these, for the budget, that would be the lease payment for next year for the 4 vehicles.
okay,
Remember, we have the money for the first 2 vehicles. And if we don't get them before this budget expires, we'll encumber some of that money so that we can make the payments. And so it was that the first 2 vehicles has been in the current budget. So
Right.
So we haven't used any of that then, Bill.
not yet, no.
So you said we'll be able to maybe roll some of that over.
Yes. Mhm.
Is 48,000? Is that the price of the actual price of 4 leases?
That's the price of 4 leases, plus that includes upfitting 2 cars
Okay.
and the graphics for 2 vehicles.
Okay.
okay, Chief, back up to the 100, the
Yep.
100 line. I see the personnel is down. Is that because people retired and then you brought in younger
Yes, it is.
police officers?
Yeah, we actually, so that saved us $14,419.
How many new, just since maybe the last 6 months, how many new people have we brought on?
Well, since July, we hired Dylan Ensel, Brady Zambanini, and then Justin Hatzel in January.
Okay,
Can I interject, Ron?
Yes.
The 2131-249 reflects no pay increases because of ongoing negotiations. So that would be if you took Ron's 34 officers, including himself, at what they're making today, it would be the 2131-249. So we have not allowed any pay increases in that number, just to make sure everybody knows what's behind that number.
Thank you, Fred.
Can I just a quick question on the parking enforcement? So it looks like personnel service parking enforcement looks like actual expense was quite a bit higher last year. Is 25 sufficient?
It is because of COVID last year, we didn't put on the part-time person.
Okay.
So that's where the savings is at.
Okay.
okay. Now, what about the court security? I see that went up. Is that just pay increases or another person?
So that is a pay increase. We'll get reimbursed for that for
From the
one
courts.
full-time person and a part-time person.
Okay,
So that's really like $3,120,
And that figure should be in the revenue section, which we haven't discussed yet. So it's a 1-to-1 match. It does not cost the city any money.
okay.
Is that New York
That's what I
State
was thinking.
pay for it, or is that right?
Yeah, the unified court system pays us for
Mhm.
the security.
Would there, remind me also, the arrangement with the school resource officers, is that also a revenue source that we're paying them in our personnel service, but we get revenue back from the schools on that?
It's a 50-50 split with the schools. Mhm.
Now that's the special patrol?
No, the special patrol we, we get the entire wage, their entire wage is reimbursed by the school. Our obligation is to train them, and we also get a 50-50 split on the uniforms with the school, so.
There's a revenue line that you don't see in a similar amount for 75,000 in the budget. So they negate each other.
Okay, now what about phones? Is that under the school or is that under us?
The telephone,
Yes,
I'm not sure what you're talking about. The,
there's cell phones at the school, the police officers.
Number 421, Ron.
Yeah, I don't
Telephone.
believe, so the special police officers, they don't have phones. The investigators have phones.
Okay,
We
So-
provide the special patrol officers with a police radio.
okay,
So the telephones, there is a phone line at the school. I believe that's for the repeater.
Ron, they might not understand. There are some places in the school that the SRO radio will not work. So we had to put a repeater in there so that it would function. And that's paid for by us. I think is that under your phone line too, Ron?
That's like $92 a month.
okay.
One last question from me, I promise. I'm just trying to learn as much as I can here. So the retirement benefits that are in this budget is for current officers paying into the pension system versus like the New York State Police pension line that we looked at yesterday. That's for
Well-
existing retirement.
Yeah, no, John, that is a contractual obligation that was with the police department, and it's 50, whatever, it's 53,995 there. We pay that a year, and that goes into a fund for retired police officers to get their hospitalization out of.
Okay.
And that was contractual. We made that was made years ago, and that's what we put into that. It's labeled as retirement benefits, but it goes towards it's a benefit for retired police officers to use towards their hospitalization.
Okay.
Okay,
Thanks.
There's a couple of those in the different budgets you'll see. The fire department gets a number. I believe that's 19,000 something, Fred.
I think it's like 18,201. Ron, Tim can talk about that. It'll appear in his budget.
Yeah, and then you'll see the CSCA, they get like 91,000,
Right.
I believe. Yeah.
So we split that between general water and sewer
With the CSCA, yes.
with the CSCA.
okay, Chief, let's say 450, the street crime unit. Is that also involved in the drug task force
Well, the drug-
connected to the county? It
No,
was
that-
the street crimes?
No, that's street crimes just for the city of Olean.
Okay, is that just? What does
Or you
that
wanna-
entail?
I'm sorry?
What does that entail?
That includes the leasing of vehicles, drug buys.
Okay. I'm thinking of another line, sorry.
That's okay. And that also included some software for the street crimes unit.
Chief, when is that group going to be coming back?
Just as
into-
soon as I can fill the 2 spots in patrol with the new guys, as soon as they're ready to go.
Okay.
Good.
I spoke to the mayor about that earlier, Vernon.
Mhm.
So I think he was going to email you.
Okay.
Okay.
And then, I may be jumping the gun here, but I know there's things that we talked about in the police reform committee. And I'm just wondering, because we're just doing the budget, there's things that are going to cost, and I'm wondering if those things were put into the current budget, or is that something that we'll end up having to create PLs for at a later date?
Well, until we really know what we're going to create, I didn't want to put anything extra in my budget.
Mhm. Well, Mayor, I guess this question will be for you then, the accreditation.
Yeah.
Because I know that's something we're going to look at doing.
Yes, and I talked to the chief about that, and most of it is going to be time to do. It's not, it is not, there's not a lot of expense in doing it. It's a matter of assigning a person to do all the paperwork and all that. So that'll be covered under normal hours. So it's not gonna be a big expense. It's just it's a lot of time and a lot of work to do it. So we'll know, and it's gonna take probably about a year to get it done. So we'll be able to, as we move forward, we'll be able to budget in the next budget, for things that we need. So.
Okay.
447, that miscellaneous services fees.
Yep.
Is that just computer rental equipment that we have leases for?
It's not. I can give you a breakdown if you want me to run through it. It's for several different things. Monthly random blood draw testing, our Power DMS, Thompson router, investigator software, live scan fingerprinting device, the parking ticket, United Public Safety Agreement, Verizon Fleet GPS, timekeeping system. Well, that's the pipe for our prisoners, the LPR software warranty, Linstar video recording system, range utilization payment, estimate to seal the blacktop, prisoner meals, towing, and interpreter cost.
Okay.
That's all under 447.
And then 109, do we still have a bingo inspector?
We do.
Is it-
Yeah.
We lowered that by $100, so it's 500.
Right.
We're not sure if bingo's coming back or not. So that's something that could be removed, possibly, before this budget is over. We should know more.
Yeah, there's only one place in Olean that has bingo
Yeah.
that does reopen.
Right. Mhm.
Anybody have anything else?
Nope, I'm good.
You guys want to move on to the dispatch budget then?
Mm-hmm.
So this is pretty easy too. Our personal services was actually down. The year before, we had a full-time dispatcher that was out for a while. So we saved money by having that position filled with part-time workers. I think we saved like almost $8,000, $77.92. Everything else is pretty much the same, other than the repairs to equipment. The bills that we're getting hit with radio repairs. I know you guys had to come up with some money for the computers that went down in dispatch, just to have those installed. And they did something else. It was like $2,800. So the bills are crazy.
Mm.
They've just shot up so much. Just to give you an idea, we had somebody come to look at the video system, and just for travel time was like over $300. So.
Wow. I have a question. A couple years ago, we were supposed to all get on the same radio band with the county. Is that complete now? Or are we still working at it?
We're still working on it. They've tried a few times, and so far they haven't got it so it's working the way that it should work.
Okay.
So for safety reasons, we're still using the old system.
Hey, Bill, real quick. I sent Jason, I resent Jason the link. He says that he's waiting to be let in. Can you see if he's
Oh, yeah.
waiting?
He's waiting patiently.
Yeah, I missed it. I apologize.
No,
I just clicked on him, so.
So overall, our dispatch budget is actually down $2,792.
How many people do we have in dispatch?
We have, I believe, 5 full-time and 2 part-time.
Okay.
Doing very well for your first time at it, Ron.
Well, thank you.
You are. Thank you, Ron.
Yep, everybody's all set?
Any other questions?
I'm good.
Chief, getting back to those 2 patrolmen you're short, are you actively searching right now to try to replace them?
We are.
Is there anything that probably not the council can do, or there's nothing you need from us, right, to get you back up to full force?
Not really. I mean, we're looking into some prospects, so we don't want to rush and hire someone and then not be satisfied with them. So,
Right.
Are those
Part-time.
positions?
Hey, Brennan?
I said Dave's looking to go part-time.
Okay, we'll take it.
Are those positions within the budget, or are those additional?
Those are in the budget.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, have a good night.
Thank you, Ron.
everybody.
To Chief.
Okay, Chief Richardson, Tim, you're next.
All righty. Once
Ron, you got to unshare your screen.
I'm trying to.
Hey, good job.
Thank you.
apologize for the rapid deployment of the budget here, but has everybody got what we're looking at?
Yes.
I do.
I thought it'd be best to preface, it's Ron's first time, and truth be told, it's also my first time because I kind of stepped in here about a week before this whole process went through. Excuse me. And I'll start off by just explaining the first thing that I did over the course of the year was I knew the budget's a big portion of what we do. And so I kind of really paid attention to line up items where they fit best. So there's a lot more transparency just to show you where everything is at. That's why you'll see a lot of variability. It's not like I just shotgun the budget. It's we kind of, allocated lines a little bit more in line of what they're meant to do. So that's why you'll see drastic increases, decreases, and those types of things. Overall, the 3410 line, which covers the fire department, that went down $9,825 over the course of the year. You'll see the 100 line went down $24,518. And again, that's like Ron had said, that it is because of we're losing senior firefighters being replaced with younger firefighters as well. So that's where we're starting to see that realization there. Basically the 100 line for the fire department, this covers 4 positions to recover the 4 retirements. And again, that would leave us with 2 9-man crews, 2 8-man crews, firefighter, code enforcement supervisor, chief, half the departmental secretary, and it also figured in contractual raises. We have 4 EMT basic firefighters that are going to their paramedic, and they'll graduate during the budget year. So we have to figure out that jump in there. The overtime personal services line, that went down pretty significantly as we brought on more firefighters. That's generally the rule that it's going to follow. The other big item that you'll see, the computer software, Jerry kind of talked about this last night. what we did is back in last February, we actually had 5 different computer software drivers within the fire department and the code enforcement office. We've since scaled that back into a municipal solutions, which is it's ESO and then it's target solutions. So ESO drives all of our fire reporting. We're actually starting next week. We're going to push the fire side for fire safety inspections and property management, which property management actually, it allows us to build pre-plans. We do pre-plans on our mobile data terminals now, but this will allow us when we go out and do inspections, because it's the same program, it shares that data back and forth. So it'll help build our pre-plans, which actually is a big part of our ISO rating. So that's where you'll see that line jumped up from 2,700, I believe, last year up to, 2,720, up to that 8,764. This line can also be supported. The New York State Bureau of EMS, what they did last year due to COVID was they gave everybody an extra year of recertification on their EMT cards. That's all well and good, but the Target Solutions software that we have, which costs about $3,000 a year, some of that money is actually offset because we recertify all of our medics and all of our EMTs in-house, and the state actually pays us reimbursable funds to offset those costs. We actually get $500 for every paramedic we recertify in-house, and then we get, I believe it's $350 for every basic. So, and that's done on a 3-year cycle. Well, we were scheduled to have 5 or 6 providers recertify, so that's money that we can, and it can only be used to support that program. And that's what one of those things is. So it's artificially higher than normal this year because we don't have that. We can't voucher the state right now because they're not taking recertification, and we won't recertify anybody until November. It'll be our first batch of 4. So, and then every 3 years we get a really big group where, we get quite a bit of kickback from the state for supporting this program. And that's done through, because we have several EMS instructors within the department itself. The other big one that went up was public safety equipment. That one saw a substantial jump. And where that comes from is, and again, thank you for us going after this grant, because what's going to happen is we lose 10 air bottles this year, which they're right around $800 a piece. If we don't get the grant, we have to replace those air bottles because they last 15 years and they're at the end of their serviceable life. The grant would help tremendously because it takes some of these items out of the line item, but we really have to plan that we didn't get the grant, so to speak. So that's why that's up there. The other portion of the public safety equipment, back in December, Bob and the mayor proposed the hazard mitigation plan update. And what that is basically a consultant come in and they basically surveyed all the county municipalities, and then they determined basically a risk assessment and analysis, and they determined where you're most vulnerable from, particularly weather events. And ours is flooding and windstorms and utility knockouts. What we're seeing is that obviously last year during the windstorm, we had anywhere between 15 and 20 structures damaged, and we have some shoring materials, but we certainly don't have a lot. And that's part of that too, is a rescue jack system that'll allow us to go in, quickly stabilize a wall, remove a victim, so we can then take our time, slow down, and really do that. And that's actually something I put in for another grant for, and I won't hear until April. So it's a lot of wishing and hoping for the grants, and unfortunately, it's some of this equipment that we do need. And also it addresses some of our other, like swift water training, for example, the equipment that we need to safely perform a swift water rescue on the Allegheny or on the Olean creeks. A lot of the next few items there, they're just, they remain flat or went up or down $500 or $100 here and there. Trying to think anything significant. Oh, light and power, we alluded to last night. Light and power went down 6,000. I did a 5-year look back of what we were paying. And because of a lot of our energy projects, Fire Station 1, or actually Central Fire Station, has been completely reverted over to energy efficient lighting. And Station 1 has been mostly converted over. I think they have a few things upstairs to tie in. And we're starting to see a lot of the energy savings there. And it's been 20,000 pretty consistently. And then this year, we haven't, you know, we're about 14,000 is where we're sitting. So that was lowered the $6,000. The next few items again are pretty flat. Building repairs did go up. Director Ring and I have talked about, you know, especially with the hiring of the new handyman, there's a lot of just miscellaneous repairs, and we all know costs go up, but fixing some windows, fixing some doors, some paint, those types of things that we haven't done in several years is why that went up so much. The other thing is there's $2,000 set aside for Elmore Hall, which is down at the training tower. That is desperately in need of some new soffits, some new fascia, some new paint. And it's a public image thing for me. It has our name on it, and everybody goes down to Guardrail to access the trail. And it's a shame that it does look the way that it does. And I'm hoping to remedy that. If you've noticed down there, I've been working with the Department of Public Works. We took a lot of the brush down. We've straightened the fence up. We're removing the burnout trailer. Those are all things we're kind of being creative with to get some benefit and beautify that down there a little bit so it doesn't look like a dump. Auto repairs, that repair is a single line, and Linda and Jason can allude to it a little bit. That's a potential repair of engine 40's pump. We're still evaluating and still looking on that, but that's why that item went up a little bit. That marks for that. Hopefully we're getting a second opinion and we'll see where that lands. But the 9,500 is usually where we stand, and that's if doors get dinged up, we replace them instead of turning them into insurance. If it's marginal, just above the deductible, instead of sending it to insurance, we fix it out of this budget. The next two that would have went up, miscellaneous fees for service. This one here, this basically pays for all of our aerial testing, all of our pump testing, all of our ladder testing, all of our preventative maintenance that I've kind of alluded to in Fleet, and Linda and Jason again, and the mayor. We had a very good catch on a PM done on the aerial, and basically one of the rams had a pinhole leak in it, and they caught it on preventative maintenance. It was hidden. The cost was far less expensive to repair that seal than it would have been if we'd had a catastrophic failure. And the ram you have redundancy, there's two rams, but at least it was caught on PM. So it was definitely cheaper. I'm a pretty big proponent that we spend all this money on our equipment. And if we don't maintain it, it's going to, you know, I want to get the best life and use and efficiency we can out of our expensive vehicles. Also miscellaneous fees for service, that the grant funding, for example, the resolution that was passed, this is where I placed that so we wouldn't have to come to contingency. So there is $12,500 for grant matching in that miscellaneous fees for service line, because a lot of these grants do have that 5% match. Again, I will always come to the council for resolution, because that resolution actually strengthens our chances for a grant, because it shows, from my side, it shows the mayor's behind the project, and then with a PL, it shows that the council is also behind this effort to try to do this funding. So that monies are also in there, that's in the miscellaneous fees for services line. Let me see here. And then travel and training. This one stays about the same, or it fluctuates a little bit. Last year, because of COVID, our 3 firefighters that were hired, we trained in-house or did a merged academy with the city of Salamanca Fire Department. Again, we do have, between Olean and Salamanca, it's pretty amazing how many fire instructors that we have that we can put a plan together. Granted, it does take a lot of manpower to do. It takes a lot of off-duty time for guys that they, you know, because it doesn't matter if we have 10 guys taking a course or like a live burn course, we have to have so many by NFPA standard for safety. And it doesn't matter if there's 1 or 10, we still have to have the same amount. But so basically what the travel and training covers this year is half of the paramedic program. UPMC Chautauqua is the lead on our paramedic program. We actually break up the tuition over 2 years. It's roughly $4,200 and some change per student. And so UPMC allows us to break that up over 2 budget years. So it's not such a dramatic hit. So we're not spending, you know, $8,800 or $9,000 per year. It's a 14-month program, so we're not spending that much. So we kind of space that out. It's also for 4 recruits. Like I said back before, we have 4 potential hires with 4 retirees. That figures in 4 firefighters tuition for the New York State Fire Academy. which is roughly it's 2,800 and some change. So I figured there's going to be an increase. So I put down for 3,000 per student. And then it's just also some various courses that we take throughout the year, even though, most courses are kind of shut down in private sector. The fire academies are opening up. So our academy's been open up probably since late November. They started opening up with restrictions. So they half the classes, or they have to wear masks all the time, and they're in larger rooms. So the training has really started to take back off again. And then that retirement sick leave benefit, that's what the mayor and Fred alluded to. That's 18201. That's ever since I've worked here, I believe that's been in every budget, and it's the exact same as it's been for 18 years. It's a contractual item that was done several years ago. Does anybody have any questions on fire?
Ron, the overall is that you're about $10,000 under budget from last year, 2845 compared to 2835. So good work.
Yeah, I agree. I have two questions.
Sure.
Back on the software, when a call comes in on your software, does it tell you if that structure is occupied or unoccupied?
Some of them do. We tag them. Dispatch can tag them as if you see a placarded building. What we do is every so often we'll go out and do a reval of all our placarded buildings. Double X means it's unsafe. Do not go in unless we highly suspect life hazard. Single slash will be that there is some type of hazard. It might be the roof's leak, or the roof's collapsed in. There might be a floor issue, and then our guys just need to be cautious while entering. What we do is every so often we'll send that to Little Valley, and they'll mark those addresses for us. And then when we're dispatched to a fire there, then they'll come back and say, be advised, that's a placarded building. And then we'll know that is. Now, part of the software also, and it's being worked on right now through Little Valley and through the dispatch center in Little Valley, is that we'll have there's a CAD link that actually ESO provided us for free at this point. And so as our units are responding, they can look down at their tablets and it'll populate. It'll start doing their charting. It'll start doing everything that can switch over. They call it building a bridge. So they'll bridge the two networks together and they'll start talking to each other. And then it's unreal what the software can do for us and how much time it saves. Because a lot of times we're turning and burning calls as quick as possible, and it's really been helpful.
Well, and it's a safety issue too, because if you guys know, the roof is collapsing or a floor is collapsing ahead of time, you can take precautions. The only other question is, how much is left on the building over at the main station? Is it just about done?
Yeah, it's getting close there. Everything, like the supplies are done, and that's pretty much been all taken care of. It's just waiting for weather. To be honest with you.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. The other thing, like Jerry had alluded to about the computer software, this stuff is all stored off site. So the ESO, for example, I believe is in St. Louis, Missouri, and then Target Solutions is also somewhere in the Midwest. So all the servers are off site, and it's been and they do a lot of updates for us and those types of things.
Good. That's it for me. Anybody else?
Going once, going twice.
Gone.
The next couple here, I don't have control of the animals. I know that stays. The examining board, that stays flat every year. That's the plumbing inspection board. That's always, that 540 has always been there. Safety and inspection, you'll see the notice in personal services here. And so what is the deal with this is that so the LISC grant that the mayor and Carrie will reference, the blight grant is what it's commonly known. We went through LISC 1.0 and LISC 2.0. As at this time, there was no LISC 3.0. That grant in itself supplemented the city with half of the full-time CEO on the CSEA side, half his salary. So that is set to end. So you'll get that 23 and some change will get added into there. And then the other 20,800 is a part-time code enforcement official. And that was kind of proposed between the mayor and I is that we know the council deals a lot, and so does the mayor, and so do I. A lot of things are usually code issues, or a lot of complaints in your neighborhoods are codes issues. The other thing is we do have a lot of contractors that come into town on a Saturday and Sunday, and the reason is codes isn't working. So now, granted, the fire department, if we see it, we operate underneath a designee of codes office, but a lot of times we don't get those calls. So the thought there is to have some flexibility with a part-time code officer, to have a guy working Saturday to be able to say, hey, if you're in here on a Saturday and Sunday, you better be licensed, you better have a permit, and to make sure you're playing by the same rules that all the other contractors are playing by. And we're hopeful that that'll be very well received.
Hey, Chief, I'm
Yes,
I'm not trying to stir up a hornet's nest, but is there something contractual that says, I mean, so we have how many officers up in codes right now?
You have 3.
Is there something contractual that says one of them can't work over the weekend?
Not that it's flexibility. It's usually management rights. It's,
Okay.
there's a lot of vagueness in that it's a generally shall work, or generally not shall, generally should work this. And, if it's, as long as it should not shall, you can flex them.
Okay.
We have money in the current budget. There is money for a part-time code officer, but we haven't had we haven't found a person to fill it with yet. So that's so we're gonna continue to look for that person that can fill it and meet all of the standards. And actually, we have money in the budget for 2 part-timers. So we cut it down to 1 part-timer. Because we have to take on the cost of Ryan Reed now, because we're not getting the grant.
Right. One more question. Do we still have the plumber inspection person?
Yep, that's
Is
required.
that a part-time person?
Part-time
Yes.
stipend. Yep.
Okay.
And then that's figured in there. So the personal services line does take care of the part-time plumbing inspector.
Okay.
You'll also see the 5,000 under revolving revival fund, and then there's a $5,000 increase on miscellaneous fees for service. This is part of the list requirement. It's called the revolving revival fund. It was seed money that was established. So part of our duties is to make sure we maintain that level of money. What happens is, if we order work done and the work's done, it's paid out of this account, in the theory that you're going to be made whole when the property owner comes back to pay. So that's why that money it's a grant requirement once we get off grant list 2.0. So that's why that went up there. It's an accounting thing.
That part-time code enforcement position, is that about $20,000? Is that what's budgeted?
20,800. Yep.
And that's unfilled at the moment, right?
Yes, you're correct, sir. And actually, the civil service list for code enforcement officials, there's 4 on the list. The list expires at I think mid-August, and all 4 of those people are currently working in other capacities.
Okay, right now up there in code, you got Ed, Melfi, and
Vino?
Tracy, Ryan.
oh, so you got 4 people up there already then, right?
Yeah, Tracy, Ryan, and Ed are the CEOs.
So you still think we need another position at this time?
Yeah, they're well, especially they're
Yeah.
getting busier and busier once the spring hits. Last year they were very busy, and once we talk with when Fred talks about revenues, like our building permits were up significantly over previous years, just because people couldn't go anywhere, so they put a lot of money into doing home repairs. I'm sure we've all done it, and it's been one of the good things, that we've seen over the past year.
True.
And I'm sorry, Chief, if you already addressed it. The miscellaneous fees for service bump.
Yep.
What's that type?
So the 6,000 is usually in there. That's usually a budgeted rate at 6,000. That's also our grass cutting and trash removal. So that's what we use if we order grass out, and you hope you get that money back from the property owner when we order grass cut. If not, then it goes to a lien. And you hope. So we always leave 6,000 for grass and garbage, and then the other 5,000 is part of that, as part of the revolving revival fund, is where that's going to end up. Is we have to maintain $10,000 in that fund.
Oh, I see. So there's 5 there and there's 5 in this revolving.
Yes, sir. Yep.
I got you.
Chief, how are we doing with structures that have burnt, that have had to been taken down? As far as the private owners, the insurance reimbursement, how do we do with that?
We've been doing fine. Luckily, we've been really getting the fires early and keeping them on the tax rolls. I'd have to look back for statistics, but most of the fires we've had lately, they've been great stops. And it'll just be some repairs and things like that, and then they're still on the tax rolls. I don't have any on the docket right now that I'm watching, and the one that it could be potential. That's the insurance is working with them right now. We're trying to get them placed. So, but yeah, we've been doing pretty good. I can talk once we're done. I'll talk a little bit about demo too, and
Okay.
then we'll see if that helps.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else on codes? All right. The mayor took care of emergency preparedness for me last night, so I didn't have to worry about that one. Okay, so demolition of unsafe buildings. Going back to last year, as part of to reduce the tax levy on the budget, we did cut this. It was 56,000 in 2019 and 20. And we've kept it reduced with and it did work out. Anytime that we did have, I know we had one on Washington Street that was demoed, that we come to the council to take it out of contingency or out of fund balance. 27,500 isn't an arbitrary number. It's what we're seeing on bids to take down your average 2.5-story wood frame structure that's clean, which means there's not a significant amount of asbestos abatement or that it's not going to be demoed hot. When you start talking about demoing an asbestos building and just burying it, or not burying it, but hauling the whole thing away as hot, that becomes pricey. You're up into 40,000 for that same 2.5-story structure. So that's where that demolition of unsafe buildings is. That'll get us one or a couple small ones. And if we run into a rash of where we have to raise a few houses, then we'll be, certainly address that at that time.
Okay.
Tim, if I could interject, I think as of the end of February, there's still about $27,000 in that account. So if you and Ed want to get together, you have money in this year's budget to do exactly what you just said, tear down a couple small buildings or one large one. So there is money for you to do something over the next 3 months.
Just a question, maybe for the mayor. Does the city own any? We don't own any more properties, do we? In terms of, I know we got rid of all the ones from the county, but do we haven't been given any more, right?
No, we haven't been given any more. Actually, the land bank has been helping us out immensely there. I believe we still own the one down on, is it Oak?
Yeah,
West Oak?
303 West Oak.
Yeah, I think we still own that one, and we have some interest in that again, so.
Okay.
Okay.
And the last one I have for you is what I'll call the proverbial, it's the shooting match budget for the year. This, you can see where we stand with our current budgetary items. This is the ambulance. And where we are, I did my best estimate on what we were dealing with supplies. Our medical direction fees, our oxygen fees, repairs to equipment, they stay pretty consistent. And the medical supplies and materials, the issue with COVID-19 is that once it first took over, which actually will be a year, our operations here for the fire department started March 5th last year. So this Friday, it'll be a year since we've been in our operation here for dealing with the pandemic. Initially, there was PPE available. There was New York State stockpiles. So any overruns on personal protective equipment and supplies, we were sharing supplies back and forth. That quickly, you'll hear the term shorten your supply chain. That was a reaction to, we were starting to see issues with getting N95 masks, getting shields, and then companies would, it took time to rev up manufacturing on some of these things. Well, in the interim, we were basically placed on waiting lists where you'd have to order supplies and materials in advance and get on a list. And then it would get shipped out. It might take you 3 months to get gloves. And so CDC guidance come out with a 60-day stockpile as your best practices. And we've been able to actually maintain that. We had to start with 30 because we couldn't get to a 30-day stockpile, but now we're up to a 60-day stockpile. And we've done pretty well. We weren't able, the New York State stockpiles, they dried up pretty quick. And as of right now, we're in a good spot. We actually purchased PAPR units for the ambulances, and we got them in the nick of time, so to speak. Once we dealt with it was actually back in December when we received the units. They are a reusable form of PPE. They're powered air purifying respirators. They're the Darth Vader looking suits that you'll see people wear at clinics and those. And they're your best form of protection. And we actually were able to purchase those. And that's why you're looking at the 33,756. And I'll talk a little bit in the wrap up here is what we're trying to do to kind of recover some of those funds. And then we are trying with FEMA projects. There's 2 reporting periods that have happened. Now we're in the 3rd. And luckily, we're hopeful. We actually submitted our request for public assistance yesterday to recover the money that we spent on the PAPRs. We have 2 other projects. One did get reduced down, and it's really interesting when you're in your grants portal for FEMA declarations is that any action you'll see them start cutting things out, and then they'll either ship it back for reconsideration or they'll move it to FEMA in Washington. Because right now they're allowing the states to be able to disperse some funds if it's an automatic, and then they evaluate, send to Washington for payment, hopefully. So we have one that's still stuck here in the state, one that's pending, and one that's in Washington. So total, we put in $26,000 in requests for public assistance on the fire department side, and they're busy. And I would love to tell you that we'd get some of that money before the budget season, but it's going to probably be a longer time than what we would like. But that's where we stand.
I have a question, and I don't know if this is for the mayor or for you, but if they do pass that, the COVID stimulus package, if the municipalities do get the money, is it targeted for say for your department or for different areas, or is it up to the discretion of the municipality how it's spent?
The way it's coming across, it would be, the funding would be, there'd be no restrictions to it.
Okay.
So the municipality would be able to use it. But one thing they are, I attended a session and they said that this should be on a 3-year heading out. They figure it's going to take 3 years for everybody to recover from the coronavirus, the effects of that economically. So it's unrestricted is the word they used. That was the last that they said. So I haven't heard anything. I think they're voting on it maybe Friday. I'm not sure on that, but as we get more information, we will. But the last it would be unrestricted to the municipalities.
Okay, so if we did have to replenish, say, the fire department's line, especially the ambulance line, we could.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
the thing with funding too that's difficult is you have CARES and then you have FEMA, but you always have to be careful that you're not crossing over, where you push in for CARES. So for us, for the fire department, it was far better for us to go the FEMA route to see more success there, and we're hoping that that's going to come to fruition.
Okay.
And then I think I've pretty much covered everything. So far on the 30, just grant update. So far out of the 3410 line, which would be the fire department, we've applied in the fiscal year coming up for $189,260. The assistance to firefighters grant is the big one. That's our SCBA replacement. And then the other is for that rescue jack system that I talked about for shoring up buildings or helping to shore up a building. And then also mainly motor vehicle crashes as well. Cars rolled over, you can deploy these things pretty quickly. And then the 26,000 in requests for public assistance that we've applied to FEMA for. And certainly if we're successful, I will definitely be letting everyone know, and fingers crossed.
We built this budget based on, not getting any aid, on the reductions in the state, aid. And that's because we just had, at the time we don't have any clear direction. So if we get, if the aid does come through, we can always, before we pass this budget, that'd be great, because then we can adjust. Even if the aid comes through after we pass this budget, we can always do an amended budget.
Okay. And Fred, you were saying you'd hear about AIM on the 12th or 15th of March?
Last year, we got our big AIM payment on March 12th.
Okay.
So I won't say we'll get it on March 12th this year, but sometime in the middle of the month. And I can't wait for that time frame, because it might be very good news, but again, with Albany, you never know.
Oh. Any other questions? Yeah.
I don't have any.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Great job for
Thank
your
you,
first
Bob.
time.
Thank you.
Good job, Tim.
Have a good
Okay.
night.
Director Ring, you're up.
Not a good sign if your boss gets up and walks out. You present your budget.
Now we'll give him a minute to come back.
So you held true to cutting 40% out of your budget, is that right?
Over the last decade, yes. But
Hey, he's back.
I'll get started. I don't have a lot of changes in my budget. What you see here, and I have the line item breakdown as needed, but I was thinking of kind of going over, presenting and then have you ask questions. I mean, feel free to stop me at any time, but you can see on the screen the budgets that I manage over the 14 divisions in DPW. And, during budget time, I like to kind of take a look back over previous years and kind of see what's been happening, trending. And, you can see, we've had some decreases in budget. Last year would have been our first increase in a few years, except we ended up sacrificing 85,000 after COVID hit, and we had those budget reductions. So this year overall, I'm asking for a $52,000 800 increase, and that's really only an increase of 3 line items. Pretty much all the other line items, except for the 100 level employee line items, which I'll get to, I'm asking for increases. 2 of them are at the central garage. We're anticipating the gas and oil to go up. It's already on its way up locally. Fuel purchases, we asked for a $5,000 increase in that line item. It's typically $120,000 line item. We're asking for an increase up to $125,000. The other line in the central garage, which is our vehicle repair line item, which is typically, or at least last year was $142,500. We're asking for a $10,000 increase to $152,500. Anybody who has been part of the fleet committee understands
Mhm.
our fleet is aging. Our vehicles are older. They require more maintenance. We have a mechanics team of 3 techs, and then we have a foreman there that does a lot of the paperwork, work with vendors and things, and does get his hands dirty, when he's available to. They handle our whole fleet of 170 to 180 vehicles and parts. So this year, there's the potential that that line item will go over slightly. Last year, we had a very similar situation where we ended up holding off fixing a couple of vehicles until the budget turned over. And, when vehicles get to roughly 10 years old, there's real potential for them to have an expensive repair, $10,000 sometimes, to repair a single piece of equipment, heavy equipment, or one of our 10-wheeler trucks, our sweepers, especially the things that are collecting dirt, on a regular basis and that we're using regularly. In the maintenance of streets, that's our line item for signing, striping, blacktop patching, and street repairs. I'm asking for a $13,000 increase to our sign and striping line item. Last year and the year before, those both went over pretty significantly. I like to do a lot of crosswalks and striping. And it's not cheap to buy marking tape and paint. We've had a lot of requests from the council, new intersection improvements, and it's worthwhile with walkable Olean and everything. Downtown, our busy roads, crossings help. They're good indicators. And we put up a lot of signs too, whether they're crossing signs or we still, this time of year we're working on our sign replacement program. We've been in Ward 2 replacing signs. It takes a lot of time, but we're constantly buying stop signs and yield signs, mainly. Like I said, those are my 3 requested increases. Those add up to 28,000. I just wanted to show you our salary line items. This year, between last year and this year, we didn't add any positions to DPW. In previous years, we had done a pretty significant realigning. This is a good indicator of what kind of increase in our general fund anyways. You're going to see each year from our salary line items, 27,000, and then the total cost of our staff in general fund and where those divisions are. Our summer help costs are there, as I said. And
Hey, Bob, real quick, go back to that. Would you go back to that, please? So you're saying, so 27,000 of your increase is contractual, is that correct?
that's correct. Yeah, 1% raises in June and 0.5% raises in January. That's the difference. Plus, there's a lot of other contractual items, out of title pay and step raises for employees in their first 5 years. Those are all included. We keep, between Fred and our office, we keep very close track of that. Ever since we realigned, we know it to the dollar.
Well, Bob, half of your $52,000 increase is in the 100 line. That's included in your 52,808, the salary increases? Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, you're right, Fred. Like between the salary increase and those 3 line items, that is our entire budget increase. And one thing I want to convey, and I like to convey every, we get by. We do a lot of work. There are challenges with this budget. You can see that it's gone down over $300,000 between 2016 and 2021. At one point, it was up to, it was as high as 3.7 million. We have some challenges, and you notice it in our you know, when I issue the facility needs report, you know, preventative maintenance to our building, maybe as much as it should, and that's moved into capital level projects, which is fine. We've been funding those obviously and with a lot of success in the last couple of years. You know, I talked a little bit about our fleet and how that's gotten older, and there is only set aside in the budget. It's capital level to fund increase vehicle and heavy equipment purchases. You know, our streets, and especially like, you know, our brick streets and our side streets, we get CHIPS funding for that. We get state funding to resurface, but that line item has been stagnant with, you know, increased cost, the salary, you know, and there's some indication of why I think our streets are in pretty decent shape, but why there are challenges with sometimes filling potholes. I have 7 guys on that crew, and it takes 5 of them to do all our busy streets. So from the time the blacktop plant opens to the time it closed, almost my entire streets crew is out on the street doing work. And there isn't a lot of flexibility to have a second crew during that time. So some of it's, you know, between personnel and some of it's budget. But like I said, we get by and do the best we can. You know, the maintenance of bridges, you know, again, that's capital level. It's applying for a grant. In fact, at the next council meeting, we're going to ask to apply for a 100% funded culvert replacement grant for 2 culverts around town. We haven't done a lot of bridge work since I've been here. We applied for this grant 2 years ago and didn't get it. So that's really our only source to fund culvert replacements or bridge projects. You know, the parks is also it's the challenge to maintain. If we have equipment that goes bad, it's not easy to find funding to replace a slide or to replace a piece of equipment or staff to do it because, you know, we're spending time mowing. All protection isn't replaced as often as maybe as it should, but you know, our parks items have been, you know, about the same for some time. We added some staff and we added North Union Street, and we're working on maintenance plans for that. We have had positives. Our street lighting, we've converted a lot of, we've done a lot of LED conversion with our electricians in many buildings and our street lights. So our efficiency, our utility costs are moving in the right direction and have helped kind of balance out our budgets. Luckily, natural gas and electric is very cheap right now. We had signed that contract last year and locked in for 3 years at a very low rate. So we're now budgeting for the next few years. Electric and gas has been very positive. I did want to just cover.
Hey, Bob.
Yep.
Sorry to interrupt. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
And so I'm just curious. And if you mentioned this, I apologize. There's been a pretty steady increase in the parks budget over the last 5 years. What do you attribute that to?
We had added a extra staff member between 20 and 21.
Okay.
That was really the biggest increase. We moved it from streets to parks. That's probably, you know, that's the increase that you see between 20 and 21.
All right, very good. And then I understand there's still going to be upkeep, and you got to maintain things. But my understanding is there's nothing that the stadium will not have a baseball season or a football season. Is there any opportunity to make up some ground there?
There is going to be a football season. Matter of fact, the high school will be playing in it. Actually, they start April 3rd, and then they will have the season in the fall. And we are moving some of the senior league games into the stadium this year. So we will have some activity in there.
Okay. I forgot they were going to do, what are they, spring ball or what?
Yeah, they're doing, Yeah, they're having a short season. It'll start first weekend in April, and it'll be done like the first or second weekend in May.
Okay. Okay.
If I can just
Bob?
ask a question real quick about the airport, Bob.
Mhm.
I can't remember what that number was, 217 or something. Yeah, there it is, 217,000. That was last year and this year's proposed. Can that be lowered? Because didn't the county give us $85,000 towards the airport?
They did for a capital project. Like these are just operational costs. When I presented on the airport, I think we're down to a positive number. We're down to, I think, a solid operating cost, and I can open that up and show you the line items. And we don't spend.
I can't see that with my glasses on.
These are our discretionary spending right here, our repairs to buildings and grounds, other contracted services. That's if something goes wrong or something breaks down. I only spend those as needed. Otherwise, we're looking, again, the goal for our personal services is to keep it as low as possible. And I'm still working on solutions after our most recent talk on how to keep personnel levels low, because you see that's one of our biggest line items. But I don't see a real easy way to just cut significantly there.
Dave, I don't know if this will help or not, but we have a capital project account number 146 that is not part of this budget. So what is going to happen is we're going to be spending significant money in capital account 146, and the 85,000 that we get from the county will offset those expenditures in capital account 146. Am I saying that correctly, Bob?
Yeah, that's correct. And that we've talked about the project, the runway rehabilitation project, a number of times. That's actually going to go to bid this summer, and then we'll have another discussion on gap funding. We'll know exactly what our match is, taking the 85,000 from the county and taking the money from the CARES Act, and see if we want to make the final push to move forward with that project.
Okay. Bob, I just have a couple questions. Back to the parks. Can some of the problems that the softball team's having with the boxes and things, pitcher box or baseball box, are those things that could be fixed in-house?
No, that they require like a special mat, so you buy it from a supplier. In fact, we purchased 3 or 4 of them, and they're going to be installed in the spring because they have been wearing. They trying to get things on replacement schedules. If budget allows to replace something every 3 years, then we'll replace it every 3 years. If it only allows to replace it every 5 years, then we'll just replace it every 5 years. And the same thing with fall protection, which is the wood chips that go underneath swings and stuff like that. We'll only replace it based on how much funding that we have each year. And I spend a lot of time budgeting for that. We can buy this much based on this budget. And after 3, 4, 5 years, the grass will start to grow up underneath it, and it's fresh. But to answer your question, we do it in-house, we install it in-house. You have to buy those mats from a specialty supplier.
Okay, now what about the lighting in that one field that was requested? Is there any way to get grants for that? Like the Ralph Wilson grant or any of those grants out there?
Yeah, I can answer that. We're looking at that now, and we're also going to look at submitting a grant to Empire State Development and that to get those things done. So we keep looking and waiting for those items to come out and work on it. So we'd like to do. We had started working on that plan a few years ago to do a complete walking trail around Forness Park, around the pond, and all that, and address lights on field 8 and 9, and and having that all redone. And there wasn't funding available at that time, but we're we're looking at that now, and we're gonna keep looking, and once we get that's available, we'll move forward with your permission with the grant.
Okay, thanks.
I just wanted to touch on salt purchasing, because I want to say it was 2 years ago that we significantly cut it. I guess it was between, 17, 18 and 19, 20. We've been really lucky the last 2 years and have very mild winters. Last year, we ended up with about 1,000 ton left over that we could use this year. So we order salt at the beginning of each year, and you're required to buy 70% of the salt that you request. So we ordered 400 ton less, and we're still required, and this year we're still required to purchase 1,820 tons. Well, we've only used, besides the stores that we had, we've only used 850 tons. So we're going to have somewhere between 700 and 800 tons that we need to store again this year, plus the 600 tons that we have just in our salt shed, city garage. So I asked the mayor if the council is open to it, taking the money that we bring that snow removal under budget and purchasing another like canvas salt shed, something where we can just store salt over the summer, and we'll have it in reserve so we can keep the line item where it is. There have been years where our line item, where that's gone up to 170, 180,000. But again, I guess what I'm asking is, we've been lucky with budget, and it'd be great to be able to store that salt on site. And then, next year we'll have a really good head start in case.
Okay, Bob, what about the current storage shed? How is that doing as far as, I think it's been like 20 years since we reinforced the back of it. Is it still hanging in there, or does it need repaired, or where's it at?
I want to say 2 years ago, I had a structural engineer take a look at it. He thought there was 0 to 5 years of it left, but he also thought that it could be rehabilitated. But in order to do that, you have to remove all the salt out of it, and there's salt in there. So this could help for that, but yeah, it needs to be touched up. They put new plywood in there last year. It didn't add any structural strength, but there's concrete holding in the walls on the side. And, you really need to look at it, but it's not great. It's like a lot of our other buildings that are run down.
Okay.
Hey, Bob, I have a question. While we're on the salt removal snow removal and salt, the mayor just mentioned something about the walkable Olean over at the Friendshot area. So that makes me think about the walkable Olean that we already have, going down past my area, down Washington Street, going towards Constitution, and then heading back towards Country Fair. I know that's been an area of concern where constituents have been bringing up as far as snow removal. Is that part of the budget, or is that an area that we don't take care of?
Like the last couple of years, we haven't taken care of it. I talked to our parks guys, and being a big trail guy, I thought it'd be important. Like, these aren't just they are recreational routes, and I think people should have that opportunity to use them as recreational routes in the winter. They're also transportation routes for a lot of people that don't have vehicles or they ride their bikes. So, we started plowing them a little more just to kind of see what would happen. And especially over by the sewage treatment plant, that's been very popular. I see a lot of people out there. And oddly enough, I randomly got a call from Joe Higgins today, who's like the chairman of the Allegheny River Valley Committee, and he thanked me for plowing those. So, I was kind of touched by that, and he wants to make a move for Allegheny and St. Bonaventure to plow the whole trail, because right now, I don't know if anybody uses the trail very often, but our area is completely clean, and the rest of the trail is incredibly icy. It's dangerously icy right now. I think he wants it to be year-round use. But there's
Yeah, you've received a lot of kudos for the way the trail's been looking the past couple of weeks there. So you guys are doing a great job with that.
Bob, how can this fall in with like the summer maintenance and trees and things? We have an agreement where Allegheny takes care of that, right?
No, we're within our city limits of maintaining, whether it's patching or tree work or brush or bridges. We've done some repairs to the bridges in past years.
So what is it that I'm thinking of? Don't we have some kind of joint agreement, Mayor? Something to do with that trail?
Yes, we do. We have a mowing agreement with the town of Allegheny, and they do portions of that trail. And we split the cost with them. And then every few years, when they need a new piece of equipment to do that, we split the cost with them on that.
Mayor, this
We've
might be a
been doing that
question.
For years.
This might be a question for Jack Hart, or maybe the mayor can answer it, or Bob. Since those trails are seasonal use trails, mainly for spring, summer, and fall, if we start plowing them and getting the public used to having those plowed and salted, and then we have a major snowstorm and the city crews are busy taking care of the primary streets, and we don't get to them, can we put a sign up or something at in the winter months, designating November through March or whatever, that that's a seasonal trail and it may not be maintained, so the city doesn't have a liability risk down the road?
I really don't know the answer to that. I mean, I've built a lot of trails. I've worked at a company where we engineered trails that had, thousands and thousands of users, and I've really never heard of that. And, in conversations with Joe Higgins, he doesn't seem to be concerned with a lot of that. I mean, there's areas of the trail where you could fall into the river, at any time we're in high water and you're toast. It's a kind of a use it at your own risk. There's nobody, I know, that the city maintaining it.
Yeah, I just didn't want the city to get into any type of lawsuits, because once you start maintaining something, then they're going to say it's negligence for the city because they didn't keep up with it. Or I didn't know if there should be any type of signage here just to protect the city down the road.
Not that I know, but I mean, I look at it as a road. It's a roadway. It's used for recreation and transportation, just like our roads are. And we plow 72 miles worth of trails, and plowing, 72 miles worth of roads. And plowing a trail that only is a single truck, to go through. Doesn't take us long, but I know that we should maybe touch base with Jack before get his opinion, but from an engineering perspective, I don't think there's any issues.
Dave, there is a concern there, and I will have a conversation with Jack Hart on this and get you an answer, okay?
Okay, thanks, Bill.
I just want to take you into capital projects, and feel free if you want to go back into our budget, but just so you get a sense of what not only our current projects, but we have all these projects in construction this year. There's 7 major capital projects that are grant funded, and then we do our typical street resurfacing program, and we're still working on a finalized list for that. And once that's released, I'll send it to the mayor to review and to send to you all. We have that airport replacement HVAC $100,000 project that's going to be in construction this year, at least worked on this year. And so there's the list of projects that we have going this year, and it's a real bottleneck. And it took over 3.5 years ago. It took me, a year and a half to 2 years to really get some projects off the ground, because I took some and rolled them back, and redesigned some of them. And then we had COVID, and that stopped the construction season for 6 months. So it's a lot of wrap-up projects that weren't completed last year. This is an incredibly busy year. Got 4 other other requests or things that we've talked about in the past, starting with various restriping projects around town. And really the key to these restriping projects is to support the pedestrian safety action plan project at Main Street. And I have a PDF of all these projects that you could take a quick look at if you have any questions. But we're going to put an RFP where the nurses were hit on Main Street, and we're gonna bump out part of the street. We're gonna reduce the lane there. And in order to do that, we have to restripe. And the idea is to put some parking in front of the hospital and reduce the lanes there for traffic calming. Our plan is to resurface Lawrence Street and to continue on from our Oak Hill Park project where we did the bump outs and the crossings. We would, at each intersection at 3rd Street and 2nd Street and 1st Street, do some bump outs, do some high visibility crosswalks heading into downtown. Spring Street is another one. I talked to Alderman Panis about it briefly and the mayor about moving parking to the other side of the street. And, you know, we'd have to get some support from neighborhoods down there, but those are some of the projects that trying to get off the ground and to support our capital projects. One other one is East State Street. We have that streetscape project from Union to the bridge. This project would be restriping in front of the stadium and adding parking along the park, space for vendors, or, you know, it's a traffic calming element, it's space for vendors. It adds a bump out on a crossing right at, you know, at the far end of the stadium. There's a long ways between crossing at Front and Main, and the next crossing might be at Fulton Street. So there's a mix of projects in there that I'm trying to get funded, and each one of them would have impact for 90,000.
Excuse me one second. John, did you want to discuss these capital projects on another night? I think when we talked earlier, capital projects in sewer and water.
That's fine, Bill. I think you know, I'm glad we're getting, I guess, a little bit of a sneak peek, but I think it's probably for the best we could shoot for either next Tuesday or next Wednesday. Bill, like I said, I'll call you tomorrow. We can go over capital projects, water and sewer.
Are we going to go back into the regular budget for DPW? I just had a question under buildings. 1620-444 building repairs. Are there any you know, large projects that are on board, or is that just money we're putting aside in case something comes up? The 35,000.
Yeah, a couple things I have in mind for the city building. One is an LED conversion project. I just met with our city electrician. There's an incentive with National Grid to convert to LED. None of the lights in the city building have been converted. A lot of other buildings have been converted to, and it's a $25,000 project, and we think that we'll get you know, a $10,000 rebate. So 15,000 of that could potentially be allotted for converting the building and making it more efficient. There are some door sills that we're having issues with. One around the courtroom. If you know, you look at it from the outside, it's breaking apart, and the stone sill is falling away from the door. You know, that could be a full door replacement project, or the sills just need to be addressed. If you ever come in the entrance by the police station along East State Street, if you pull that door open really wide, it sticks because that sill is heaved and cracked and broken. Either that door and frame need to be replaced, or some concrete work needs to be done there. And then where we did the Times Square entrance replacement opposite there, so that what's the right word for it? Well, those glass doors and frame, you know, we got a great price, I think, from Western New York Glass and Door last year to replace that for about $6,700. I think it'd be great to replace those doors and that glass with tempered glass, because that's what we used on the other side, you know, after some of the protests. But also those doors don't have push bars on them, they're locked. So if there were a fire in the building, you either have to go out there and you have to turn the lock to unlock them, or you have to have a key. So there are some code issues with it, you know, but those are some of the potential projects that we could do around the building. We have a new HVAC building and building specialist. Tool purchases may need to come out of that line item. He may be building a bench and buying some equipment here so he can work on our boiler system. Stuff like that. There's plenty of preventative maintenance and just daily maintenance that could be done on this building.
And, when looking through, like the Central Electric service and different other spots, there really doesn't seem to be much of a change other than a little bit in the personnel. Are there any other areas in DPW that you see any big changes as far as, what do I want to say, either the electric and power or other equipment? Because it looks pretty straightforward to me.
It is pretty straightforward. I mean, Brad can maybe order it. He's kind of the utility guru, and we did convert our lighting, citywide or street lighting to LED. So we're still analyzing how much of a savings we're going to have there. So that line item is probably pretty conservative. And we did move some funding there so that we could potentially expand our lighting into Warvest Park, because it's light and light and light, and then all of a sudden it's really dark because we did that bike ped project. And really all that project is our electricians taking some of the redundant lights along that project and moving them. So it's basically putting in a new light pole base and moving lights so that we can spread that light out better. So, that's one of note, but there really isn't a lot of changes, like I said. And there isn't a lot of capital outlay either, and that's a lot of what the budget was previously, going back to say 2016. Capital outlay was budgeted, and now it gets requested at budget time, which works because the council's been very supportive of capital projects and building improvement projects. So.
Bob, do you have a time frame for when we'll be receiving a list of the streets we're going to be resurfacing this year? Or is that after the budget process?
Usually we have it by now, but we have to wait till the state budget's passed, because oftentimes they send us what our CHIPS money is going to be before the budget's passed. But this year they haven't. They sent us a letter that says this is how much money you're going to get. And we've been reluctant to finalize that list until we know how much CHIPS money we're getting, because that's about $500,000. And I have $270,000 in my maintenance of streets line items for street work. But usually only about 150 of that is put into street resurfacing, because that's also used for blacktop patching, for utility patching, and a lot of other equipment purchasing. So that's the bulk of our street resurfacing funding. And we know we're going to do Martha Avenue because we already did the curb ramps. That was meant to be done last year. And I can't remember.
Okay, thanks.
That's the only holdover we know of.
Okay, any other questions for Bob?
When, I don't recall talking about our public transportation service. Does that fall under DPW?
No,
That's up to community
Gary.
development.
Did we go over that when we talked to Carrie?
She has her partners meeting coming up. I believe it's Friday. So she'll know exactly what's going on there, but it is as Fred calls it, a 1-for-1. So we don't, the city doesn't contribute tax money to it. It's federal money that is based on the whole program.
I was talking to a student at Bonaventure, and she was telling me about the OAT system, and she said they have an app that bring up the system to see when it's coming and where it's going. So I thought that was interesting.
Mhm.
You know, that we're
Yeah.
kind of,
Jason, to help answer your question, Carrie gave the mayor and I a figure of something like $742,000. So in the budget, you'll see $742,000 in expenditures, and then you'll see revenues of $742,000. So it's neutral to the budget overall.
Okay. Yeah, I was just trying to compare income to out, in and out. Do we charge for that? I mean, are there any actual revenues from that service, or is it provided just by government funding and free for the public?
We get passenger revenue.
So do we end up with a net positive from it that we
No,
get to keep, or do we turn it in, any net?
no, we're not allowed to profit by it. If there's anything left over, it has to go to a reserve account to help fund the future acquisition of buses.
Okay.
This is probably a minor expense, Mayor, but I think it was last spring or summer, there was some vandalism in a couple of the parks, and we were talking about putting camera systems in. Is that budgeted? Is that going to take place this summer, or?
No, we didn't. No, that's not budgeted. That price is a lot more than, minor, especially if we want to monitor it. So that's going to take, that should probably be under a capital project.
Okay, I was just wondering because I didn't see it in there.
Mhm.
Mayor, did we ever find out who vandalized those welcome to Olean signs?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so. They've made any arrest in that yet, or so.
Kind of
Just
on that
curious.
line, Mayor, if, I know our bus stops tend to be targets for vandalism. When something like that happens, what line would that hit us on for repairs to those things?
That would be out of the Oats bus, that funding. That'd be out of the money there. That doesn't come out of city money. It would be out of their, if it's a substantial, it'd be out of their reserve fund.
Okay, so I'm just trying to understand, sorry to hold this up.
No.
But would we, like, one gets vandalized, would we make an insurance claim that goes through us on something like that? And or would it
Yes,
just-
yes, we are insured.
Okay,
Mhm.
I think, was it a couple years ago, Bill, that there was one where the window was smashed over by North First? And it had to be replaced.
Yeah, we just had it again on Seneca. The one there was just vandalized again.
Oh, gee.
So that's, I'm not sure if that's been repaired yet or not. So every once in a while we get them. That seems to be the targeted one, the one over on Seneca. We had the one on down on South Union Street, farther down in front of the group home, south of Reed's. That's the one that the tree fell on and destroyed. That came down in the storm, so that has been replaced. But that's all done with the funding or insurance money under the Oats program.
Okay.
Jason, you could give Carrie a call and she can explain all of that funding and that to you.
okay.
Okay, if there's no further questions, I just want to get a feel for, we'll have our regular meeting next Tuesday. Do we want to look at next Wednesday for our next budget discussion? For the capital projects and water and sewer? John?
That's fine with me. Or, the fact that I don't know how much, I don't believe very much is on the agenda for Tuesday. We could talk about just, using committee of the whole to have that discussion. Bill, do you have any thoughts?
That would be my vote.
Yeah, if we don't have a lot out for Tuesday, we can handle, we can talk about it there.
Paul, what were you referring to? Tuesday or Wednesday?
The Tuesday, we'll do the regular meeting first, say at, I don't know if we could get away with doing it at 5:30 and then go right into that meeting or vice versa.
That you would prefer that? Does everybody agree that that would just be easier if we met at 5:30 and kept the regular meeting at 6:30?
Well, if, I think Bob can tell us, I'm sure he can do the capital projects, the water and the sewer within an hour. Is he still on?
I'm still on. I think they'll be
Okay.
pretty. Brad,
Okay.
will be there. We like to go over kind of our master plan, give you an update on what's going on in water and sewer and our grants and stuff, but let's get under an hour. Brad does have some changes to water. It's not a budget increase. It's just he's trying to match what is done in sewer at water. He's trying to have some solidarity there. Just kind of give you a heads up. He's going to go over all that. But
Okay.
talk about master plan of water and sewer.
So, as I envision it, I don't think we necessarily need to have the conversation of it's just we're listening, right? And we're listening to what they're presenting, and we can have the conversation, say for another time, as far as what capital projects are we able to fund everything if we're not, and have that conversation at a later date. So I think we could plan for a meeting at 5:30 on Tuesday. Bob and Brad can have an hour to do their water and sewer. And then Bill, if you want to have a discussion about what capital projects you guys are looking at for next year, if it's just Bob or if it's other departments too. And then we'll just go into the regular meeting.
Okay,
And
Sounds
the
good.
meeting is pretty light so far, so.
Okay, very good.
Okay. So moving on, approval of committee reports. I don't think there are any. And I will, if everybody's in agreement, I'll go ahead and make a motion to adjourn until next Tuesday.
Make a
I'll have
motion.
a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
All right.
All right.
Okay, guys. Have a good night.
Good night.
All right.
I'll call you tomorrow, Bill.
thank you. Appreciate it, John.